What's happening? Andy here. I'm joined today by Justin, the latest president of Flex Technology Group. How are you, Justin? What's happening?
Good morning, Andy. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's still morning here. I'm a little further east than you. You are not in headquarters. You are in the new role that you've been taken that you've been given over the last. I guess it was about a week ago we announced it. You are now the president of FTG Texas. Is that correct?
That is correct. After about 6.5 years in New York, I've made the transition to Houston, Texas, and excited to be here in this new opportunity.
Well, that is just awesome. Let's back up because when we started chatting today, I didn't realize that you had started in New York, which is very different than Texas. Let's talk a little bit about that because I don't think people always remember that Flex has offices this far east. I know you have one in Baltimore you bought last year, the year before. New York City is another one that I think maybe let's remind us. Tell us about the operation that you guys were part of up there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started my career at FlowTech, which is one of our East Coast subsidiaries, in 2018, out of our New York office in Times Square. Came in as a rep, and was fortunate enough to move up into different roles throughout the company. And I think it's one of the best parts about Flex is just the opportunity that if you produce results, you're going to have opportunities to advance your career. And I think it's something that for me has been one of the most rewarding things. And to be able to help others do that as they come into the company has been awesome. But yeah, so the opportunity was presented to me to, move to Texas.
Well,
And
did you just back up? Were you banging on doors? Did you have a car when you lived in New York? Like, how did that work? Because that's a whole different world of selling.
yeah, absolutely. So I did have a car. Part of the reason for that was to make sure I could get to the golf course on the weekends. But yeah, no. So we were, the thing about New York City is it's very difficult. You can't really just walk into buildings, right?
Yeah.
So we had to be really good at phones and emails and different strategic ways to get in front of people. And we were targeting big enterprise businesses that had not only offices in New York, but were really spread all across the country. So, yeah, no, it wasn't as much walking up and down the street. It was more strategic and going after big businesses and finding ways to get in front of those C-level executives, which, as you know, it's pretty difficult. So.
So now, flash forward, you for whatever reason decided enough of New York. I want to move somewhere else, and you found yourself in Texas. What was that transition like? That must have felt pretty good coming from that environment to selling down there. What was that like?
Yeah, it was funny. The opportunity got presented to me, I think end of May of last year, right? So, I haven't really spent much time in Texas. Um, but, hey, it's something that for me personally, I've been working towards since, really when I got here, I wanted to have the opportunity to lead one of our businesses. And when Frank came to me with this, it was a no-brainer. And I thought, it would be a big change, but to be presented the opportunity at 33 years old to run a business unit, it was something that I wanted to do. And at the time I was single, no kids, so for me it was like if there's any time to do this, it would be now. So yeah, I'm 7 months into being in Houston, Texas. My first weekend in Texas, they actually got that hurricane. I don't know if you saw that over the summer, but that
No,
was my welcome to Texas. Frank didn't mention any of the hurricanes throughout the
they
interview
never do.
process,
They never
but
do.
and then most recently last week we got a snowstorm. So in my first 6 or 7 months in Texas, I've not only got a hurricane but also a snowstorm. So
Well, you can
it's
handle
only
the
about
snow.
20 years.
I'm not gonna, I don't know if Texas can handle the snow, but you can handle the snow being from New York. Um, So you're in this leadership role, right? So you've got a whole company under you. You've got sales and service. You were a sales guy. You probably had some learning to do, and you probably did a decent amount of that back in New York as well. But what's it been like moving out of your traditional sell to overlooking the whole company and this whole organization, multiple cities. How's that going? Now you have a boss asking you, very different questions than would you sell this month? Well, probably the same questions in some ways.
Right. Yep. No, absolutely. I mean, those questions are still being asked. But yeah, I think one of the things that's been helpful for me in this transition is John Bixby, our president at FlowTech, has been graceful enough to allow me to be involved in these conversations in my previous role, right, to kind of prepare me for this next step. But to your point, there's, now with service and admin and ops and different functions of the business, I've had to reinvent myself and grow in that way to be able to support these functions. But I think the recurring theme is the business, it's all about people, right? And I think if you have the right people and surround yourself with people that are smarter than you and better than you in certain aspects and add to your strengths, good things will happen. And I think one of the first things that I did when I got here was we had to deselect some people, right? I think those are hard conversations to have, but I had a very clear vision of where we were going and what we needed to do. And I knew we needed to get different people on the bus. And, 6 months into it now, I feel pretty good about the people we have in the building, which is really exciting. So, yeah, it's been a change, but with anything, any new job, you're not going to be fully prepared for anything, right? So I think that's part of why I wanted to take this as well is get outside your comfort zone, reinvent yourself, and good things will happen.
Well, to your point, I'm sure there were some, excuse me, I'm sure there were some people, you come in, you're young, and you're coming from an outside unit, and some people were probably working there that thought, well, maybe I should have been in that role. And so you had that, yeah, as an obstacle, and that's pretty typical. And you're beginning this era, and you want your team around you. You want people, who are thinking the way you're thinking, who are challenging you, who are making, you and the team better. And sometimes, it's a little uncomfortable at first, but those are the moves that leaders have to make. You have to get your people on board and get everybody's head in the right direction. And, if somebody isn't going to make that turn, then maybe there's a better place for them, right? It's just the way it is. Uh, so now you got, a little bit of time under your belt. One of the things I like when you get somebody, especially because you do have some experience, for how, what did you say, 15 years at this point? Something, 15?
Yeah, so been in the industry for seven, over 10 years of experience in
Yeah,
sales.
10 years in sales. So I mean, you get the luxury of taking, the best that you've seen from people that, led you that you enjoyed following and maybe some lessons that you learned on things that I wouldn't use this method or I wouldn't, so you're kind of building this around you going forward 2025. We're off to a pretty good start. We're already a month in. I can't believe that. For this year, your first year in the saddle is full time with this position. What are you looking forward to? What are some ways where you want to look back and say this is where I'm making my mark? These are some changes that I think that everyone's going to be really excited about.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the biggest thing that I'm excited about is again, like I mentioned, we brought in a lot of fresh people and we're really changing the way this business has gone to market, right? So over the last 30 years that FTG Texas, formerly Merriman Business, has approached the market is really through education and faith-based businesses, right? So where in a lot of pockets of Flex, especially at FlowTech and FlexPrint, they're really going after big enterprise businesses that don't necessarily fit that mold. So part of what I'm doing is bringing that go-to-market strategy here where, hey, the reality is Texas is one of the biggest markets in the country. We have more Fortune 500 companies headquartered here than any other state. And there's really an opportunity for us to go attack and penetrate what is really a green patch for FTG Texas. So, redesigning the list, putting these types of accounts on all of the reps assignments has been super exciting. And we're already starting to penetrate and get into some of these accounts that, quite frankly, this business has never been able to get into because they haven't called on it, right? So I think that's super exciting for me. And with that comes the opportunity for growth and pretty quick growth, right? So I think And that is the expectation of Frank and our PE firm is they see Texas as one of the biggest opportunities for growth within Flex. Um, because the reality was, it would have been easier for Frank to just roll this business into another region, right? But you think about the investment that he made pulling me out of the VP of sales role at, for the last 2 years, the top performing company inside of Flex was a big risk. And to have me move here and come to this business and again, so I think that speaks volumes to the investment that FTG is making in this market. And I think the people in the building can see that and recognize and the excitement and buzz around what FTG Texas is doing and the potential opportunity for us is awesome, right? So super excited to be a part of it.
Well, I mean, it is a wide open market, right? And there's a lot of big cities there and a lot of big companies are moving there. So if you have a chance to grow into the enterprise and you're not, an area that's not been served well by you guys, it's just wide open. You're known for print management. Like that's the first thing that comes to mind when I think Flex. You guys have this model. Every time I go to one of your meetings, I see how those numbers just continue to grow, even in, what some say is a slowly declining market, your numbers still go up in print, especially in print management. Is that the focus for you? Are you looking at other areas too? Where are you looking to push things along in Texas?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the core focus, manage print. I think that's the biggest opportunity for us to really be able to go target large enterprise accounts. And, you were at our kickoff last year. You saw the study done by PwC, FTG's one of one. And really what they analyzed was two things, right? So geographic coverage and depth of offerings, right? So, we cover all 50 states. We support 30 plus OEMs. 900 different models, so our ability to go attack enterprise businesses that are spread out with all these different printers, copiers, et cetera, is really better than it's ever been. And that's exciting for us. And that is the sole focus of FTG Texas in 2025 and beyond.
Well, I mean, you save, when you can save a customer a ton of money and you guys make, good money on top of that, then everybody wins, everybody's happy. And that it surprises me that just continues to be such a highlight because you would think it would run out of steam and it never does. You guys have this model. And when you guys have acquired companies over the years that you bring them into this, you transition them into that model and it just feeds into the mothership is the only way I can explain it. And you get a company the size of Flex, um, bringing pricing down to the level that, very few companies can do that to. And you wind up saving the customer a ton of money. You organize them on better software. They know where their assets are. They know how they're being used. It's just on and on. There's so many advantages and you guys are just really, really good at it. So, no surprise that's going to be where you guys are going to make your mark in 2025. And speaking of 2025, we still haven't had our kickoff yet. We were just talking before we came on. I'll let you tell us, where's it going to be? Where am I going to see you in a couple weeks?
Yeah, so we're super excited to be hosting our national kickoff meeting at the Wynn Casino and Resort in Las Vegas. So for those of you that haven't been to Vegas, I'm sure most of you have. That is, in my opinion, the best casino and resort there. So, super excited that Frank and the team were able to pull that together. But looking forward to seeing you there, Andy.
Yeah, I can't wait. And honestly, I'm a little tired at this point in my career of Vegas. But if I have to go, that is the hotel that I want to go to. That is just a great property. Everything is just nicely done there. Just great rooms for presenters and the food's great. It's just I've just learned about Las Vegas too many times in my career to enjoy it anymore the way some people will. I have a feeling that you guys are gonna just rock that place. I personally I can't believe anyone is taking a group like you to Las Vegas. Maybe the first and last time, we'll see. But I think you guys are just going to have the best time ever, especially at that hotel. How many people are coming to that? Do you have a ballpark on that?
Yeah, I think we have upwards of 400 or 500 people
Oh my
coming,
God.
right? So
Oh
We're
my
bringing
God.
some of our top performers across the country, really the people that are moving the needle for FTG, to be able to come and expand and experience and get to meet other top performers, right? I think that's one of the things about Flex is sometimes you can get in your silos of the companies you're working for, but when you bring all, 19 plus companies together in one meeting, great things happen when top performers are exchanging ideas and networking and building those relationships because again, people are what drive the business. And that's why we invest in this, right? Obviously, it costs a lot of money and expense and time to be able to do meetings like this. But when you think about why we do it, that's really the reason.
Well, when you're going to be a big time company like that, you have to have big time meetings. And I do like how you bring people from throughout the company. You know, it's not necessarily just all salespeople, which obviously I would love all salespeople, but I think it's nice that, people get rewarded for doing, excelling at their job and they get recognized and they wind up at that meeting. And, I like that, especially with you guys being all over the country. Right. I think it is important to see what the people in the different locations look like and what they're doing and who their great people are. And it's just a special couple of days. And as you've pulled together and sort of slowly ditched the local names and you're really starting to focus on FTG as a more of a brand. I think that's important that you guys come out, of the gate each year as one company and recognize that it's not just, we're not just Arizona. We're not just Texas. We're not just New York. It's one big company now, and you may compete with those other groups, but there's an end number that you're all trying to get to together. And each year Frank's going to put that up on the board, and you're either going to make it or you're not, and it's all your fault or it's none of your fault. That's how it works.
Yeah, one addition would be it's typically a number put up in form of an ice sculpture. If you know Frank in his
Yeah.
meetings, he likes
Yeah.
to do them. So I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happened in Vegas in a couple of weeks.
Well, I can't wait to see you in Vegas. This has been an absolute pleasure. Congratulations on the promotion on those big giant cowboy boots that you'd probably have finally bought. At least you got a good excuse to get some boots. I don't have the good excuse, but I do have the boots. Um, yeah, man, this is going to be great. I'm excited to see you guys in Arizona in Las Vegas. It's going to be. I think you guys are going to have a really good time, and it's going to be an awesome meeting.
Awesome. Hey, I appreciate the time, Andy. Looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks, and thanks as
Yeah.
always.
Great seeing you. Thank you so much.
All right, see ya.
Bye.